What's up, everybody? AJ here. I have the brand new PSE Levitate in the Coda Cave right now. This is not my bow, this is actually a buddy's bow. By the way, sorry for my appearance. This is what happens when two blue belts roll unsupervised. But one of my buddies bought this new Levitate. He's planning on taking it on an elk hunt later this year. Asked if I would set it up for him, so of course I jumped on it. Now, I did have a chance to shoot all of the new 2022 PSEs at a TA show last weekend, which I'm not sure when this video is going to drop, but I did get a chance to shoot all of the new bows and the new cams at the convention center. Of course, bare bow, I can only get a first impression. I did post that up to Knights of the Apex Instagram page, so if you're following on there, you probably saw that post. But if you're not, I was excited to get this bow in and set it up and get to shoot it, because having now shot a fully set up bow, I definitely have some additional feedback to give and feel like I can give a true review of the new Levitate. So let's go through it, changes, features, and what my impressions are. PSE actually made several big changes to the carbon line of bows this year. Now, looking at that carbon stealth behind me, the Mach 1, that's actually my wife's bow, the bows may look very similar, but trust me, although they look same, they are quite different. So one of the changes that PSE made this year is a new cam system, and the cams are the heart of any bow. So the Evolve cam, which is the predecessor to this is the new E2 cam. The Evolve cam, people loved it. The PSE shooters the last couple of years, that's really the thing that I think drew most people to PSEs over the last couple of years, is just that Evolve cam, how smooth it was, how adjustable it was, and just how forgiving that cam was. One of the downsides of the Evolve cam is with all of its adjustability, depending on the bow model, you got anywhere from like 25 to 31 or 32 inches of adjustment on the draw length, and 80, 85, 90% let off. But with all of that, you did lose efficiency, especially on the lower end of the draw lengths. PSE addressed that this year by coming out with the E2 cam, which on most of the bow models are going to cover you from 28 to 32 inches, and then the shorter draw S2, which is going to be, I think, 25 or 25 and a half up to 29 inches. So PSE basically took the geometry of the Evolve and squeaked out some additional efficiency out of it. This cam is slightly more aggressive, so you'll feel a little bit more stiffness, but still a very consistent and smooth draw cycle, and there is slightly less shallow of a valley than the Evolve cam, but anybody who shot the Evolve cam knows there was plenty to kind of give way there. So the engineers, I think, did a really good job of addressing some of the feedback that people had shooting the Evolve cam over the last couple of years without ruining the thing that made us all fall in love with it in the first place. Another change to the cam system this year is they were able to actually widen the stance of the bus system on the cams, and they were able to do that because another change was the wider limb pockets. So this is a design that carries over from the EVL32 last year. I was a big fan of that. It definitely makes the bow hold more stable and just feel more balanced overall. Now, the one thing I did notice with the new E2 and S2 cams is you do get a bit more of a hump right before you drop into the valley when you're at 90% let off. Personally, I actually like that, especially in hunting situations, because it kind of forces me to slow down a little bit, and then I just creep back over there and I'm locked in. But if you're not into that sensation, that is tamed down quite a bit at 85 and 80%. Now the riser, again, this riser may look like the same riser from years past, but the carbon lay and the makeup of it, this new dead frequency carbon, is quite different, and you do feel a substantial difference shooting this bow compared to years previously. The new carbon Levitate is definitely quieter and more dead in the hand. The bare bow, I did notice some residual vibration after the shot, but once you have all of the accessories on there, this thing is just completely dead in the hand and even quieter. So yeah, bare bow, again, I noticed that because this bow is so light, and this bow is crazy light. Let's actually weigh it. Six 6.2, 6.3. I don't know if you guys can read that. 6.3 pounds. So that's 6.3 pounds with 2 wooden stabilizers on here. These are Quattro Dentros. A back bar mount. This is a pretty hefty back bar mount from Quattro as well. Grip tape, CBE N-gauge sight, which is a notoriously heavy, albeit awesome bow sight. So fully rigged up, 6.3 pounds. That's pretty ridiculous. Now, as I was saying, bare bow, because the carbon has to be reinforced for the attachments, you get a little bit of weight cant on that right side, kind of like if you had a quiver on there. Fully rigged up, that is completely gone. This thing balances out quite well, especially with a back bar, and that was a change that they made this year, is the availability of a back bar mount on there, which I'm a big fan of. I like running back bar mounts. Once you go back bar, you don't go back. Other changes that PSE made this year, they actually carried over the sling swivel mount. So if you have like an AR-15 or rifle sling with QD mounts, you can actually, that's what these two things right here are for. The cable guard this year is machined and set into the riser, so this is no longer adjustable on the Levitate, which is what Dudley prefers and has said that he prefers since he came over to PSE. That was one of the first changes that he actually made. Another little thing that I haven't seen a lot of people cover, but Dudley has spoken about it on a couple videos, is for the rest mount itself. There aren't two holes, there aren't two burger button holes on the Levitate riser, but what there is there's a little channel with a plastic piece that comes with the bow. And what that plastic piece allows you to do is it sets in there and then fills the void in the channel of most rests. So when you're installing your rest, it prevents the rest from canting up or down. Now on this rest right here, which I think is an HHA, but I'm going to be honest, I'm not entirely sure. I did have to sand that down a bit. I believe it's actually designed for the QAD rest, but fit this channel, I just had to sand it down a little bit and it worked just fine. I do have the rest running to the limb and not to the little hole that you saw right here. Now, if you saw my build of the EVL or saw me shoot the EVL at all last year, you saw me run my rest cord to there. I actually have a very good reason for not doing that. One thing that I noticed shooting my EVL was my rest was starting to actually hit me in the hand, which I thought was very weird, but I just kind of chalked it up to my grip and the fact that I like to really hike my grip up on, or my hand up on the grip as high as possible. Now at ATA, I got the opportunity to actually talk to PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery. I actually just went up to him just to tell him that I thought he was doing a great job with the videos, and the new slow motion footage that they were capturing was awesome, and he had some really cool input from different things that he was capturing, or that Lancaster was capturing with those new slow motion cameras. One of them being that when they mounted the rest cord to the precision bus tuning system, what they were actually seeing is the flex in the cables after the shot was actually causing the whale tail to flutter and hit them in the hand. So that was something that, unless you had a high-speed camera, you probably wouldn't know how that was happening, but I definitely had that happen to me, and that's some variable that you definitely don't want. I never noticed it throwing off any of my shots, but that's just a little bit of added vibration that if I can take that out of the system, I definitely am going to. So for this particular bow, for my buddy's bow, and probably for all of my PSEs moving forward, I'm going to be mounting the rest cord to the limb itself. So overall, how's this bow feel to shoot? It's phenomenal. I think PSE did a really good job addressing the feedback of its shooters and making tweaks that improved upon previous designs, in this case on the carbon bows, quite drastically, without ruining the things that we really loved about the bow. Everything right now, technology-wise, manufacturing and engineering has really hit kind of like an apex. Until there's some advancements in technology and the materials used, we're not going to see those giant jumps in performance. But PSE made changes and addressed things that we had all been giving feedback for over the last couple years, and I think they did a really good job, and they brought forth a superior product to what they had previously. Not that the other bows were bad, but there were a couple little quirks that they definitely ironed out with the Levitate, and I'm sure Dudley had a substantial hand in that, and he did a phenomenal job with this bow. Now, there is a steep barrier to entry to getting one of these bows, and that being the price. I believe they're going for like $1,700-$1,800 depending on your pro shop. And the big question always is it worth? Now, I'm guilty of scoffing at prices in the past myself. For some reason, as bow hunters, we have this weird thing where we think every bow that comes out should fit our budget, but it's just not the case with anything in the world, right? Now, if I'm speaking personally, the price premium for carbon bows has just been hard for me to justify budgetarily because I tend to like a heavier bow setup anyway. So the advantage of the weight savings doesn't really justify the additional $500 price point for me personally. Now, in contrast to that, someone like my wife, who she's a little thing, right? That 1 pound of weight savings is truly the difference between her comfortably having fun shooting all day or not. And not just her, you don't have to be a little person to like light bows. Whether or not, the price tag of carbon is worth it, that's going to be totally subjective. But I can say that it's definitely a high-end bow, and it really rounds out what Dudley has been able to bring to market through PSE, because he now has the affordable bow in the Embark. He's got his kind of flagship model in the NTN 33, and now he has his high-end model in the Levitate. People are, of course, going to compare it to the RX-7 because it's the only other high-end carbon bow on the market. Now, I've shot both of these bows. I've been meaning to actually make a video on the RX-7, which I really enjoyed shooting. I think Hoyt is another company that did an absolutely phenomenal job addressing some of the feedback that customers have had honestly for a couple years now, and that bow and the Ventums are the best bows Hoyt's put out in years. They're really phenomenal. Now, comparing the RX-7 to the Levitate, if I was in the market for a carbon bow and I was prioritizing weight savings and that whole warm to the touch feel, I would lean towards the Levitate for the sheer fact that the Levitate feels substantially lighter. Despite whatever mass weight might be advertised, the Levitate feels significantly lighter than the RX-7 does. Shooting the Ventum or some of the other aluminum model bows and then picking up the RX-7, I didn't have that whoa feeling of how light it was. But you definitely get that Keanu Reeves whoa feeling when you pick up a Levitate because it just is so damn light. So kudos to John Dudley and PSE. You guys did a phenomenal job on this bow. Really solid shooter. I'm excited to get my XF30 in. Can't wait to set that up. Really hoping I didn't jump the gun. But thank you everybody for watching. Get to your dealers. Shoot all of the new bows. Shoot them multiple times. And I'll catch you guys next time. Keep sending it.